ready or what?
Yeah.
Sure?
Yeah.
Right, first of all, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming back.
Welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to be back.
Is it?
Yeah.
Nice to be here on a different day.
Yeah.
Hence the change
I
of
love to
clothes.
ride that rail.
We are actually rolling. Right, so,
Do you
the
want
reason...
to redo that or?
No, let's leave it
Keeping that
in.
in.
Let's leave it in.
Okay.
So, the reason that you're here this time, on a completely different day from the other day that we did this,
Right.
is because obviously in the last one, I talked to you individually about your careers, your musical history and your connection to Dijah and stuff. But the real reason, I've just tapped the table. The real reason that we're doing this whole podcast series is partly about the album that we've just released and partly just to document 50 years of the Doncaster Youth Jazz Association and all our involvement within it. But I wanted to do a special one with you two. We've never done a three-way before on this.
Feels good.
Hopefully it'll work. But you two, I mean, obviously there's other people that are heavily involved in this album, but you two were primarily the main two people that really got things going and worked heavily in the organisation of it, making it happen. Even the idea of it, I think, was your idea. But also post-production, you had a massive input into all the mixing and, the whole thing, the design, the choice of the material was all pretty much you guys with help from some other people like myself, James, Gaz, and obviously Dad. So I wanted to talk about each track individually, just to get a bit of background on, what you thought about the track, what it was like doing the whole process of mixing and mastering, and even the design of the front cover, everything to do with the album, basically. So that's why we're here. So we'll kick off. I've got the CD here for reference. I know that the track listings are different on the vinyl. Why is that?
Because the sides of the vinyl are a certain length, and obviously, lol.
What?
All right, give me a second. Just let me redo that. I'm sorry.
Can't redo
I'm
it.
sorry, Matt.
We
Yeah,
can't
you have to redo that. I can't.
No, we'll read it. I think you said
right,
we got to length.
Right. Okay. So because the sides of the vinyl are a different length, and just for how it flowed, the record from beginning to end, when you'd have to turn the vinyl over or change discs or whatever, we ended up changing the order ever so slightly.
Right. So, am I right in thinking both the vinyl and the CD start with Hello and Goodbye?
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Hello and Goodbye. To me, when I first heard that, I think Reuben, you sent me a link to a band playing the version that we played, the Bob Brookmeyer thing.
Yeah.
What band was that?
Well, there were a couple of different versions. There's the NDR.
NDR.
Was it NDR?
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so different from the sort of stuff that we would typically record on previous albums.
Yeah. For sure.
So, how do you know about that track? What was the thought process behind it?
Well, I think I'd known the piece for a while, just from being a big fan of Bob Brookmeyer and his writing.
Right.
And when we knew that the record was happening, Tom and I were getting together and listening to music and throwing around ideas for pieces that we might play. And I was round at yours, I think, one evening.
Yeah, we'd been going through other material for the album.
Was there a lot of that then? Did you literally just get together and listen to stuff?
we tend to either hang out together or work together, or we're obviously not that far away from each other in London, so we find we're in the vicinity quite a lot. So when we knew this was going on, it was inevitable we're going to have to spend time doing that. So, yeah, you just sort of, you just had it on, didn't you? We'd had a bit of a listening session. There might have been beer involved.
Just push your mic slightly more towards you.
Oh.
Maybe slightly to your left, so that when you turn to Reuben to
This way.
gaze at him.
Is that better?
No, your other left.
Oh, my left.
Yeah.
As opposed
Just so
to
when
my
you turn
right.
your head, it picks up
Is that better?
your dulcet
Yeah.
tones. Is that better, Mark?
That's the first time someone's told me to get the mic closer to my dulcet tones. So yeah, and I think we've been listening to some stuff, and Reuben put it on. I was like, this is a great piece of music.
Okay.
I'd never heard it before. Obviously, you were quite familiar with it, and it was that moment of, we should get this. And I think had you bought stuff from him before?
I had a couple of Brookmeyer scores, I think, that I'd bought just to look at, and kind of study. and I always wanted to look at that one. And yeah, it all fell into place, I think. And I think the thing that's so cool about that piece is it is unlike anything that the band have ever recorded before, like the huge open sections for different soloists, improvisation, and it's a really challenging piece of music. I mean, I think we knew straight away it was going to be.
Yeah.
You know,
People didn't necessarily like it straight away.
Yeah, I must admit, I think I might have been one of those people. I just didn't get it.
Yeah.
That's all it was. It's just a case of not really what is going on here. And I think now, having played it and rehearsed it extensively with you, I can see why it's kind of like a writer's tune, isn't it, or an arranger's tune, because there's so much going on. And I only realised that when we actually rehearsed it properly with you, and you were going through it with a fine tooth comb and really talking about the phrasing and how the phrases crossed over and how there was not counterpoint, but that type of effect over a longer period, if you like.
for sure, yeah.
And that's when the penny drops. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I get this now. There's musically, it's different from it's not just a big barnstorming swinger like we all used to love playing as kids. It's a bit more artistic and a bit more creative than that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a barnstormer in its own way.
Yeah.
It is kind of raucous, those big shout choruses in the middle, and it definitely, I think even Brookmeyer said it was he wanted it to be kind of a bit of a party piece.
Right.
But at the same time, it's not like some of the other tunes on this album where it's quite instantly very satisfying to play because, all the parts, play so beautifully. This one, there's all that kind of cluster harmony, which is just a nightmare for a band to tune.
I was just going to say, like, I think if
especially
the tuning's
with two sopranos in it.
Yeah,
as well.
exactly.
Well, the beginning is basically all unison as well, isn't it?
Yes.
If you're off a little bit, you've ruined it because everybody's in unison through that first section, and then obviously when you get into the clusters, if there's something off there, it just ruins the effect of it.
Yeah, it was difficult to play, definitely.
Yeah, we were. We were just quite exacting. I think when we recorded it, I seem to remember this one was one of the tunes that took the longest. I think we took about an hour and a half or so to get it down, which is difficult. You're worried about people losing morale or feeling dejected because it's taken time. But I think that's normal on a piece like this, that there's so many different elements within it that you're trying to pull together. And I think really proud of the band when you listen back to that piece and this recording of it. That I think the band sound fantastic. It was worth the challenge.
Definitely. What is the reason why it's at the beginning of the album?
I don't know. What do you think, Tom?
I don't know.
Is it the title, maybe?
Well, maybe. I mean, I was saying before, there was part of me that thought the album should be called Hello and Goodbye because of John's sort of role within everything. I don't know. It just, when we were doing the track listing, it felt like there wasn't anywhere, and unless you'd have put it at the end.
Right.
John really wanted sax no end. I know we'll come to that, but he really wanted that as the other bookend. It didn't really seem to fit anywhere else. So, and it sort of, because it's so interesting to listen to, it sort of gets your attention straight away, I suppose. Yeah,
bookend is a great word. I think it's like, that's definitely how it feels for me listening to it. The way that it starts just with those kind of sparse piano clusters and the bass kind of slides and like
it almost introduces the band bit by bit.
Sets things up, and I mean, I remember the first time I heard that chart recorded, when you hear like the band, because it starts in unison, and then when the band go into full harmony and then the clusters, it's just like, it's just the whole thing just opens up, and it it felt like, what better way to start this album like that.
Yeah, great. That makes a lot more sense now to me, just like the piece does. Now that we've rehearsed it and recorded it, it makes a lot more sense than when I first set eyes on it and played it, and I love listening to it now. It's a really good one. Right, let's move on.